Namaste, everyone. I wanted to just recite a couple of verses from Bhagavad Gita. Professor Prasanna Kumar's sister passed away, and I'm sure we all remembered her from her visits to our temple. Her gentle spirit, her smile, her kindness. And so I wanted to recite these verses in her memory and to ask Bhagavan's blessings upon her. Om Najayate Mriyate Va Kadachit Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Va Na Bhuyah Ajo Nitya Shashvatayam Purana Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Grinnati Naroparani Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi Nainam Chindanti Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavakaha Nachainam Kledayantyapo Nasoshayati Marutaha Achedyo Yamadahyoyam Akledyo Soshya Evachaha Nitya Sarvagatasthanu Achaloyam Sanatanaha Avyaktoyam Achintyoyam Avikaryoyam Uchyate Tasmad evam viditvainam nanusochitum arhasi. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So now we'll begin with our mantras for our Kena Upanishad class. First of all, to Lord in the form of Shri Ganesha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprama Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. And now the Guru Mantra. We acknowledge those from whom we have received this teaching and our gratitude today and always to our teachers. Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. To Ishvara, the first teacher of us all. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapada Upanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. And then we recite Sahana Bhavatu, the mantra that we may understand each other. Our study today, let it be fruitful and may we not misunderstand each other. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Varhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And so I will begin also with the Kena Upanishad Shanti mantra that I have been reciting. You can join with your mics muted. Om apyayantu mama angani vak pranas chakshu srotra matho balam indriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarod anirakaranam astvanirakaranam me astu tadatmane nirate ya upanishadsu dharmaste mai santu te mai santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So welcome again to our Upanishad class today, our Kena Upanishad class. And we will continue our discussion. So just to quickly summarize, so we have studied the question of the student, Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha, Kena prana prathamayati yuktaha, Kene shitam vachamimam vadanti chakshu srotram kau devo yunakti. So the student asked his teacher, what is it because of which my eyes see, my mind thinks, the breath of my body flows? What is it that vitalizes and allows me to speak? Who is that shining being? Kau Deva Yunakti. And then we started to discuss the teacher's answer. We saw Srotrasya Srotram. So he called it. He answered his student's question, first of all, by affirming that there is a reality that because of which the body, the mind, the senses function. And he describes that reality in a very special and deep and profound way. He doesn't name it, but as we saw, he says it is Srotrasya Srotram. It is the air of the air. Manaso Mano Yad. It is the mind of the mind. Manasa Mano. Vacho Havacham. It is the speech of speech. Sa'u Pranasya Pranaha. It is the breath of breath. Chakshusha Chakshuhu. It is the eye of the eye. So although, as I said, not naming this reality, not naming this shining or divine reality, this Deva, which is the word, what he is speaking of here, although not naming it as the Atma, he speaks of it as the eye of the eye. And as you know, we discussed in our last class, Atma is that reality, that awareness, because of which the mind thinks, the senses function, and the body is alive. The senses are mere instruments. The eye is the instrument of seeing. The seer is you, the seer is I, whose nature is awareness, whose nature is awareness. So this awareness enlivens the mind and the senses. They derive their capacity from awareness. And importantly, and this was something that we will see even further today, that this is awareness, that this Atma as awareness objectifies everything. By objectifying everything, I mean it knows everything. It is that because of which we know anything that we know. Even those things we know we don't know. It is because of this, this awareness. But this Atma, whose nature is awareness, can never become an object. It can never be objectified. It is like, I'll give you many examples, but it is like the tip of your finger, the tip of my finger, with which we can touch everything, but the tip of the finger cannot touch the tip of the finger. The tip of the finger can't touch itself. Even the physical eyes, not the eye of the eye, but the physical eyes can see objects, but the physical eyes cannot see themselves, other than if there is some reflecting surface like a mirror or so. But the eyes can't objectify themselves. To do that, you would need another pair of eyes, which we don't have. So similarly, Atma, whose nature is awareness, never becomes an object, never becomes an object. And I gave last time this beautiful mantra, beautiful stotra verse from Drigdrishya Viveka. Rupam Drishyam. A form is seen, Rupam Drishyam. The eye, Lochana, the eye is the instrument of sight. Rupam Drishyam, Lochanam Drik. Tad Drishyam, that eye, EYE, the small eye is seen. Driktu Manasam, by the mind. So the mind can think of, or the mind objectifies the physical eyes. Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik. Tad Drishyam Driktu Manasam. Drishya, Dhivrittaya Sakshi. But the thoughts, the vrittis, the thought forms of the mind are also objectified, also known. They're called Dhivritti, the thoughts of the mind are also known by Dhivrittaya Sakshi, by Atma. Atma is the witness of all thoughts, all feelings in the mind. Driggeva natu drishyate, but always the seer, always the knower, never the object of knowledge, never objectified. And what we have to remember throughout our study of Kena Upanishad, if Atman is not an object, this awareness is not an object, it is what you are, it is what I am. The eye of the eye is you. The air of the air is you. The mind of the mind is what you are. So here in this text, we are learning not about some distant, some remote object, but about ourselves, about what we are. And so we also saw that the fruit of this knowledge, the phalam, the fruit of this knowledge, the rishi, the teacher mentions in this very second verse itself, Amrita Bhavanti, Amrita Bhavanti. You know, we pray in our Hindu tradition, Asato ma sangamaya, lead me from untruth to truth, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, lead me from darkness to light, from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. Mrityorma amritam gamaya, lead me from mortality or death to immortality. Amrita, Amrita. So here the teacher, Guru says, when one knows oneself to be the eye of the eye, the air of the air, the mind of the mind, Amrita Bhavanti, immortality is gained. One becomes immortal. And we talked about this. So because awareness, Atma, you, I, that truth is not subject to change. You know, I just recited verses from Bhagavad Gita in honor of Prasanna's dear sister. And this is the teaching here. Nainam chindanti shastrani. It cannot be cut by weapons. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Nainam dahati pavakaha. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot drown it. Air cannot dehydrate it. It is the awareness because of which we know time. We know change. and therefore it is not subject to time and change. Objects are subject to time and change, but that which is aware of all objects is free from time and change. Na jayate mriyate va, I chant, it is not born, nor does it die. Ajo, nitya, shashvato, it is ajaha, unborn, nitya, eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. It is not destroyed, it does not die when the body dies. So we also inquired whether this awareness is singular or is it plural. Of course, whether there is a separate eye awareness, air awareness, smell awareness, touch awareness, taste awareness. These are the instruments. The five sense instruments are different, but it is the same awareness that is present in each one. The seer in the eyes is the hearer in the air, is the smeller in the nose, is the taster in the tongue, is the feeler in the skin. And I always draw on our teachers. Again, we have the beautiful Stotra Dakshinamurti Stotra, where the teacher says, Nana Chidragato Darastiti Maha Deepa Prabha Bhaswaram Jnanam Yasya Tu Chakshura Dikaranam Dwara Bahir Spandate Nana Chidragato Darastiti Mahan. So it says, it's like a clay pot with 5 holes. And in this clay pot with 5 apertures, 5 openings, we place a single lamp. And so from within this pot, 5 beams of light shine through each opening, radiate in different directions, throwing out light on different objects. So the rays seem to be 5 in number because the holes are 5 in number. The apertures, the openings are 5 in number, but the source actually is one light source, radiating through 5 openings in a clay vessel. In the same way, one awareness, one Atma in your body, in my body, in every other body, shines through the five senses. As I said, the one who's aware of sights is also the one who is hearing, touching, tasting, and feeling. Does it, however, differ from body to body? So if we can say, it is one awareness in my body, in your body. In other words, are there Atmans? Is the Atma different in each human body? Awareness, we may say, is the same in my body, but is it the same in your body, in the body of other human beings? So clearly, our teaching here is that it is not. Each student who is listening to this text, as you are, as I am, must come to understand that she is or he is the Srotrasya Srotram, the air of the air. Chakshusha Chakshuhu, the eye of the eye. Manaso Mano Yad, the air of the air. In other words, Atman is the air of all airs. So now we must extend this. The one Atma is the air of all air. The one Atma is the eye of all eyes. The one Atma is the mind of all minds. So just, you can see Bhagavad Gita, Sarvataf Pani Padam Tata, Sarvato Shishiro Mukham, Sarvataf Sutimal Loke Sarvamavritya Tishtati, with hands and feet everywhere, with eyes everywhere, with ears everywhere. So each student has to know that the Atma that he or she is Atma of all. Think of the beautiful Guru Stotram that we recite. One of my favorite verses, Mannatha Sri Jagannatha. My Lord, my God. Who is my God? Mannatha Sri Jagannatha. My God is the God of all. Jagannatha is the Lord of the universe. Madguru Sri Jagadguru, who is my teacher. My teacher is the teacher of all. Not that the teacher has taught everyone in the universe, but the teacher gives a teaching that is meant for all. It is not an ethnic teaching. It is not a teaching meant for a particular race group or ethnic group or a particular gender. When Guru Stotram says, Mad Guru Sri Jagat Guru, he's saying that every true teacher is a teacher, gives a teaching for all humanity, not a localized teaching for one particular group that excludes all other group. And then the third statement in that beautiful verse. So think of it, huh? Mannatha Sri Jagannatha, Madguru Sri Jagadguru. Third claim, Mad Atma Sarva Bhutatma. Mad Atma, myself, my Atma. What is it? Sarva Bhutatma. It is the Atma of all beings. Bhuta, Sarva Bhutatma. Tasmai Shri Gurave. That is the teacher. The teacher who teaches that is the teacher to whom we should bow. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. It's a very beautiful construction in that verse. This truth, comes again and again. We have to be open to seeing it. Yastu sarvani bhutani. Atman yevanu pashyati. Sarva bhutani cha atmanam tato na vijugupsate. Who is the person, Isha Upanishad asks, who is the person without hate? Tato na vijugupsate. Who is free from hate? Yastu sarvani bhutani. Atmaneva anupashyati. Anupashyati. Who understands well, who sees clearly, who knows, anupashyati. Clear discernment. Yastu sarvani bhutani. That Atma which is in all is also my own self. Salva bhutani cha atmanam. That the one Atma is the self of all. Isha Upanishad, very, very profound, very beautiful verse. Again, there are so many texts. Bhagavad Gita, we have studied. Sarva bhutastamatmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani, ikshate yoga yuktatma, sarvatra samadarshana. Sarva bhutastamatmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani. One who sees Atman in all and all in that Atma. Sarvatra samadarshana, sees all human beings equally, with the equal vision. Samadarshana. So this is the awareness in the body is one, and the awareness in all bodies is one. And this has to be understood very clearly. This is Sachidananda Atma. This is what we studied in Nirvana Shatakam, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, that which is free from time, that which is the same in all beings. So far in Kena Upanishad, the teacher has answered the student's question by telling us something about the nature. He answers the question by speaking about what we call Atma Swarupa, by speaking about the nature of Atma. It is the eye of the eye, it is the air of the air, it is the mind of the mind. He tells us something very deep and profound about what is this Atma? How can we speak of it? So we have, there's a very beautiful line that goes like this. Lakshana in Sanskrit, Lakshana pramana bhyam vastu siddhi. You must remember this. Lakshana pramana bhyam vastu siddhi. Lakshana pramana bhyam vastu siddhi. So vastu siddhi, vastu means, object, knowledge of an object, vastu siddhi. An object is known well when there are two things. We must know its nature, lakshana, and we must also have the right means of knowledge. So let me give you an example. Suppose I have various fruits in a room. I have apples, red apples. I have oranges, green oranges. I have yellow bananas, let's see. So in this room, I have 3 different kinds of fruits: yellow bananas, green oranges, and red apples. And you don't know one from the other. You don't know the difference between an apple, an orange, and a banana. So I send you to this room and I said, please bring me an apple. Now, what is required for you to bring me that apple? First of all, you must know apple lakshana. What is the nature of the apple? So I must describe to you. I must say, well, the apple will be the red fruit among all of the fruit, because the others are, the orange is green, the banana is yellow. So I tell you that the apple is the red among them. So I've given you apple lakshana. I've told you what is the lakshana of the apple. But then you need good eyes also. You know the lakshana, but you have to have functioning eyes. If your eyes are not functioning so well, you will know what an apple is, but you will not see it. So the eye here, in this example, the eye is the pramana, color is the lakshana. And both are necessary. So you could have very good functioning eyes, but if you don't know the difference between apple, banana, and orange, you will not be able to select the apple, right? So both are necessary. Pramana is necessary, the right means of knowledge, as well as you must know the lakshana of the object. What is its nature? So far, he has told us something very important about Atma lakshana. Eye of the eye, air of the air, mind of the mind, and so on. So having said that, the student, it is possible that the student may now think that, well, that my guru has told me that the Atma is eye of the eye, air of the air, mind of the mind, breath of breath, etc. So the student will try to use the generally available means of knowledge to find this Atma. That's what we do, when we learn the lakshana of something, then we ask, what is the pramana to find it? How do we find this? How do we know this now? I know what its lakshana is, but tell me, how do I know it? What is the pramana? And that we know, the generally accepted pramanas, means of knowledge. Pramana is a means of knowledge, are the senses, pratyaksha, perception, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, or we can make inferences as well. So now the teacher in this part of the Kena Upanishad, after speaking of Atma Lakshana, Atma Swarupa, the nature of the Atman, he now comes to teach about Atma Pramana. How do we know? What is the way? to know, Atma Pramana. But before telling us positively what it is, he seeks to dispel. This is very important. He seeks to dispel what are the wrong pramanas when it comes to Atma Jnana, the knowledge of Atma. Which pramanas are not applicable before telling us how we will know. Because there are misconceptions to be removed. So in next mantra, teacher says, Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, mano, na vidmo na vijaniyo yathaitad anushishyat. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. He begins by stating the pramanas that don't help here, that are not appropriate for this knowledge, for knowing this Atma. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. So here we see now, chakshuhu he uses, eyes, chakshuhu. Previously he said Atma is chakshusha chakshuhu. Now he says, na tatra chakshur gacchati. Gacchati means to go. There, tatra. There, speak, there here, the pronoun refers to Atma as awareness. Not tatra, not there. There the eyes don't go. Don't go there with the eyes. Don't go looking with your eyes, in other words. Not tatra chakshur gacchati. Don't go looking for it with your eyes. That's how we normally look for objects. So na tatra chakshur gacchati, important statement. Na vag gacchati. Don't go there looking for it with your speech. So we'll take each one in turn, starting with na tatra chakshur gacchati. Don't go looking for it with your eyes. The eyes don't go there. Why do the eyes not go there? The eyes, now you can, put this teaching together for yourself on the basis of all that we have discussed. The eyes, physical eyes, chakshuhu, can only see that which is an object. Can only see that which is an object. Like Kena Upanishad is an object now. I can see this text with my eyes. The eyes can see, the eyes can know only that which can be objectified. As I said, even the physical eyes cannot see themselves. So eyes are an appropriate means of knowledge, very useful means of knowledge, but only for objects. For objects. The eyes cannot see the eye of the eye. The eyes cannot see the eye of the eye. Like you can see this book, but you can't see the space in which this book is because that has no form. And to have form, of course, means to be limited. This book is limited, you can see the beginning, you can see its, its contours, length, width, because it's an object and it is limited. So if one tells you, I have seen the Atman and I can show it to you, then you must hesitate. Because na tatra chakshur gacchati. Don't go there with the eyes. It may be something else that the person has seen and is calling it Atma, but na tatra chakshur gacchati. The eyes cannot see it. Don't look for it outside. Don't look for it outside. Importantly also, a little more difficult, don't look for it inside. as well. But sometimes we say that which is not outside, look within. There's a way in which perhaps that could be understood. But looking within can also be misunderstanding. It can also be misleading. That point we will come to. If Atma, this awareness, is an object, as I said, it will have a form, right? Because objects have forms. And then, we could describe it to be of this size, this shape, this color. We could talk about it by pointing to all of the qualities, the gunas and features that are normally discernible through the eyes, that normally belong to objects. But na tatra chakshur gacchati, if Atma is not an object, then it doesn't have any of the qualities like size, shape, color, texture that normally belongs to objects, that are normally the properties of objects. So this means that we cannot also speak of Atma by comparing it to objects in the world, because it is not an object. If I want to tell you about an object that you don't know, but which is like other objects, I could make comparisons, and that will help you to understand. So, in Africa and also in the Caribbean, we have a fruit called the breadfruit. Now, you don't know, many of you will not know what a breadfruit is. But if I want to help you understand what a breadfruit is, I can compare it with other fruits. So I can tell you, well, the breadfruit is round, right? It's round. The breadfruit is green. It's like a green grapefruit. I can tell you, the skin of the breadfruit is like, it's rough. It's like the skin of the jackfruit. It looks like the jackfruit's skin. And then you begin to develop a picture of what the breadfruit is. And when you cut it open, it's white inside. So I can teach you about what a breadfruit is by comparing with other fruits, because they're all objects and they have certain common qualities. They have common shapes, they have common sizes, they have certain common textures, and so on. But Atman is not like any other object. It is not an object, it is not like any other object. And therefore, because of that, the teacher is indicating to the student, you must understand, I can't speak of this as I speak of other objects. Because he may have seen, this guru may have seen, that when he answered the question by saying, Chakshusha chakshuhu, Srotrasya srotra, Pranasya pranaha, it is the breath of breath, it is the eye of the eye, it is the speech of speech, it is the mind of the mind. His students must have looked bewildered. And even, may have said, Guruji, can you speak of it in another way, because we don't understand? So he says, but please understand, the eyes don't go there, so I can't speak of it as if it were an object. And if I did, I would mislead you. You would not find it, because then you will go searching outside for it. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. What a beautiful statement, 4, 5 words. The eyes don't go there. Don't look for it with the eyes. So while he, selects and emphasizes the organ of vision, the eyes, what we should know here is that this applies to all 5 sense organs. Just he mentions the eye. It is also true of air, of smell, of taste, of touch. Pancha Indriya. Pancha Indriya. This is true of all the Indriyas. And all of the Indriyas give us knowledge through the method of what we call pratyaksha, perception. The five sense organs are organs of perception. So that is the pramana. The pramana here is perception. And so the Guru is saying perception doesn't go there. Perception is not the appropriate means of knowledge, because Atman is, it is adreshyam. We said, I introduced this word before, adreshyam. It can't be seen. It is not an object. It is not available for drishya. So it's adreshyam. It is adreshyam. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. The eyes don't go there. And so it's also without sound. Sound doesn't go there. It's ashabdam. Touch doesn't go there. It is asparsham. Smell doesn't go there. It is agandhavat. It is without smell. And so we can't speak of it with reference to these qualities. So that's the first line that he says. Na tatra chakshur gacchati. And then he adds, navak gacchati. So Guruji, if I can't see it, then maybe I could, the words, can I understand it through words? What words? What words? What words can we understand? And here he makes an important statement, navak gacchati. The organ of speech does not also go there. Navak gacchati. So here we have to understand the special way in which the teacher is speaking. Why am I saying that? Because he's teaching. If teaching is not possible, think of it. If teaching is not possible, when the student asks the question, Kene shitam patati preshitam mana. What is it because of which I see, I hear, I taste, I touch, I speak, I breathe? He would have said, I can't answer that question because there are no words that I can use. It's not possible. And then, we'd have no Upanishads. We'd have no Guru Shishya Samvada, discussion. We'd have no Sampradaya. So when the teacher says, Navak Gacchati, we have to ask, what does he mean? What is he saying when he adds that speech doesn't go there? The organ of speech doesn't go there. The teacher here is pointing that in relation to Atma, words as normally used, cannot be used. Because our whole language itself, whether we are talking about oral symbols, words are oral symbols, or we are speaking of any kind of other symbols, all of our ways of speaking have evolved and developed out of the experience of finite objects in the world. Language is a tool, is a very good instrument for speaking about objects in the world, but not a very good tool to speak about that which is not an object. Which, as I said before, that which doesn't have the characteristics of objects in the world. This is why science, for example, is a very good method of inquiry. It's a very good pramana for knowing objects in the world. Science is a method of inquiring into the objects of the world through perception. And we use instruments also to enlarge our perception. The mistake that is often made is when someone says, that everything that exists in this world is an object. If something is not an object, it doesn't exist. That is an arrogant claim. That's a claim that has no rational justification, because then you are limiting reality. So science is an excellent means of knowledge. It's given us so much. Even our vaccines today have come about as a result of that kind of inquiry. But here we are speaking about that which, as we've seen before, is not an object and therefore is not available in the same manner of objects for inquiry through scientific methods. That's something that we should all understand. So by saying that the organ of speech, vak, does not go there, the teacher wants us to understand that the limits of language, not the fact that we don't need language, but the limits of language in relation to speaking about this Atma. This Atma. We have to use words in a very special way when we want to speak about Atma. And if we don't, then we will end up making Atma, the infinite Atma, the Purna Atma, into a limited object. We'll end up making it into a limited object if we are not careful about how we use words, how we teach. Because think of it in this way. How do words define things? How do we define any object with words, with shabda, with language? We can think of many ways. So sometimes we want to classify, we want to describe something. We will say, we will refer to its species. So he is a human being, she is a human being. We point to the species to which people, human beings belong. Or we say, this is a tree, this is a plant. We use species. In Sanskrit, we use the word jati for species. So we distinguish, we define things, at least in one way, by distinguishing one species from another. That's one mode of defining. But we can use that when objects or beings can be classified into a species. What is the species of Atma? Atma is not a species of being. Brahman or Atman does not belong to a species. In fact, as we have seen already, there are not many Atmas. It's not plural. So we can't speak of Atma as though it is one species of being different from other species. So words don't go there in that sense. Words in the sense of describing species are not appropriate for Atma. Or we could say we define things also by speaking of the qualities that they may possess. I would say it is red, it is blue, it is large, it is small, it is oval, it is square, it is a triangle, it is a hexagon. That's gunas. What are the qualities of a particular object? Objects have qualities. Objects belong to species, and objects have qualities. Atma, what shape is the Atma? What size is the Atma? What color is the Atma? Atma is nirguna. It is free from all qualities. So we can't, if we use language, the language of guna, then we may mislead. And some people do say, Atman is infinitesimally small. It is infinitesimally small. They gave a dimension to it, which is a guna. And that is misleading also. So jati, species, guna, quality. What else? We define things also by reference to action, kriya. She is a doctor. He is an engineer. She's a downhill skier. He is a hockey player. So we use language of action, kriya, to distinguish one person from another on the basis of action. What action can we use to differentiate Atman from other kinds of actions? The problem of language. Nava gacchati. So I give these examples to show you why the teacher makes this point. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vak gacchati. The organ of speech does not go there. It's a caution about the limits of language that even the Upanishads remind us again and again. Yato vacho nivartante. Yato vacho. Atman is yato vacho nivartante. That from which all words, not that words are not helpful, but that from which all words come back, must come back, having failed to fully describe. Aprapya manasa saha. That from which all words return, having failed to grasp. I speak in this way about language because, I had a teacher who was extremely careful about words. No student of Swami Dayananda Saraswati, I would say, would come back from study with him without a deep respect for language, without a deep respect for words in relation to teaching. Because he was diligent, he was careful. He understood so well the power of words to convey knowledge, but also to mislead, to cause misunderstanding, to mislead, to cause misunderstanding, to lead students astray. And so he would speak about the beauty of words, but he would speak about the limits of words also. We need words, but we need to understand how limited words are. We have to use words in very special ways when we speak. And throughout this Kena Upanishad, you will see this. The very skillful use of words to speak about Atma. Finite words can never directly speak about Atma. We have to use words in very special ways. So if we say, you have to give you so many examples. If we say anoraniyan, if we say it is the smaller than the smallest, we have to say mahato mahiya, but it is the biggest of the biggest. We call it the language of paradox. You can't say it is the smallest of the smallest and stop there, then you think it's small. But you have to say mahato mahiya, and it's also the biggest of the biggest. You have to use words in this beautiful and special way. So Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vak gacchati, na manaha. Na manaha. So now he says, in saying na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vak gacchati, the senses don't look outside, don't look outside, don't look outside. Because it is not an object inside, outside. And be careful with the words that you use. Na vak gacchati. So now the student says, well, I have to look inside. I have to look with my mind, I have to look inside. And then he comes and say, na manaha. Na manaha. Previously he had said, manaso manoyad. Now he says, but don't think you're going to see it with the mind. Na manaha. Nothing is left out here. As a separate sentence, but the mind does not also go there. So Atman is not an object of the senses. So maybe it is an object of the mind. Maybe I can't see it with my senses, but I think I can see it with my mind. It's an object inside me. It is inside somewhere. And therefore I can look with my mind to see it. So to dispel that very common misunderstanding, the teacher says, namanaha. It is not also an object of the mind. It is not an object of the senses. It is not an object of the mind, because it is manaso manoyad. It is the mind of the mind. That is an important point. Too important to try to discuss very quickly in our class today. So I will stop here, and then when we meet, I would like to speak on this issue a little bit. But always remember that even though he's now telling us, ruling out, he starts off, now the topic of Kena Upanishad here is what is the pramana? What is the right means of knowledge to know the truth of oneself? And like a good teacher, he begins by telling us what are not the appropriate means of knowledge, but he does come and tell us how. What are the ways? What is the way in which one comes to know oneself? What is the appropriate pramana? Because if he doesn't do that, then his students are left in a hopeless situation. So we will certainly, this is the subject matter in the next series of verses, which we will, of course, as we are doing, we will discuss in great detail when we meet next time, and of course, continuing onwards. So I will stop and end our class today.